As Mordechai continues to become more and more powerful and prominent in the empire, the Psukim say that many of the non-Jewish inhabitants of the Persian Empire are misyahadim. They are portraying themselves, acting as Jews. And there's a debate really going back to the Gemara of whether or not these were really attempts at conversion, and if gerus, if conversion under these circumstances is something which is halachically effective or desirable. Certainly a simple read of the Psukim seems to indicate that the impetus for these conversions was fear, essentially that these people were scared of Mordechai's power and authority and what he might do with it, and therefore felt, we're going to join the winning team. And there is a whole discussion throughout the halach literature of what are sometimes called Geri Mordechai, the converts of Mordechai, and whether these are considered real converts or not. What's interesting, though, the Sfas Emes understands this in a completely different light. If one looks at the writings of the Sfas Emes on Purim, he suggests that this is really what the Megillah is describing for us, is a spiritual phenomenon. That as part of this process of the elimination of Haman and all that he represents, the whole notion of Amalek, which represents really radical evil in the world, the Sfas Emes says that this is an indication of a certain spiritual enlightenment that is really almost like a proto-messianic kind of idea. In other words, the same way that Yemos Mashiach, the final messianic redemption, is going to be accompanied by a universal kind of spiritual awakening, the Sfas Emes posits that now that Haman has been eliminated and that his party is in severe danger. In fact, the way that he would read the pasuk is, instead of saying that many of the nations of the land were converting because they were afraid of Mordechai, he kind of parses the pasuk and says many of them were converting because the fear of the Jews had come upon them not referring back to those who converted, but them, meaning Haman and his children and his whole party and associates and the whole Amaleki anti-Semitic infrastructure that exists in the Persian Empire. So the way the Sfas Emes would have us understand this is that this is something almost connected to the same sense of joy and inspiration which filled the Jews of the Persian Empire, that even the regular people of the Persian Empire, those who weren't avid anti-Semites themselves, that they were also spiritually impacted by the destruction of Amalek, that there was an awakening among them, which again is a foretaste of the spiritual awakening which will move the world in the time of the redemption of Mashiach.